Okay, let's well, maybe it's I shouldn't just abandon Obosh just from one bad result, but I don't know, maybe this might be going down the wrong path again, but considering how most of those games went, didn't really feel like Obosh was the difference maker. Um, yeah, so like I think if if this doesn't work out, I'm going to think long and hard before I dive deep on trying to make a companionless version work again. Maybe Gigantha is the way to go, because definitely there are some advantages to having a companion available. But obviously, Seasoned Pyromancer was a big part of how we won that Death Shadow matchup. So here's the takeaway: we played we've been playing a Spikefield Hazard as a land almost exclusively. It's very rare that we played as a burn spell. So we could just play more mountains, but I'm going to try Shatterskull Smashing because it still offers that late game, being a burn spell advantage that Spikefield Hazard offered. But it, in theory, could offer a bigger payoff, potentially dealing with multiple large creatures if we got enough mana. But it's also a better land early in the game. So arguably it's a better land and a better burn spell. Now obviously there are some spots where we do have enough lands that we can actually just use a Spikefield Hazard freely as a burn spell. And remember, that was kind of replacing Lava Dart, so it is kind of a, you know, it's, losing out on the Lava Dart functionality is not without any type of consequence, but, the takeaway was that 24 lands seemed to be necessary, and we almost always were playing this, playing the Spikefield Hazards, and Shatterskull Smashing is just it's just going to be better as a land most of the time because we can have it come into play untapped if need be. So in that regard, we're replacing that with Shatterskull Smashing, which of course we couldn't do in a companion version. I just really feel like there's something to this card. I do like being a land that's it being both a card that can enter and play untapped under Blood Moon, before Blood Moon and after Blood Moon, but can also be paid. Can have a high degree of functionality later in the game. That's just replacing a land slot. This could be completely crazy, but I feel like there is something to this. The other replacement, of course, is I am replacing basically Soulscar Mage with Heartfire Immolator. I really feel like if we can do that, if Heartfire Immolator essentially offers most of what it's cost one more, but what you get is a lot for replacing Soulscar Mage. Instead of whittling a creature down, most of the time, this together with another burn spell can just completely kill it outright. Now, granted, you'd have to sacrifice this, but usually, if you need to take down a big enough creature, it's worth it to combine this with another burn spell and then just use this to finish it off. Also just being able to finish off Planeswalkers too, like being able to attack any Prowess pump plus sacrifice. Sometimes even without a Prowess pump, sometimes just attacking for 2, sacrificing for 2 is enough to kill a good amount of Planeswalkers a good amount of the time. I don't know what else to say. We'll see if this actually bears any fruit, but I've just been so impressed with it. It's definitely, this is looking more and more like one of the reasons to play a Companionless or Gigantha version is like you get a lot from this card, and I hope we'll get to see that, even if my record isn't that great when it's all said and done. But I do like it, and of course, the other takeaway is we are replacing light up the stage with Abbot of the Keral Keep. Okay. Very simple. This increases our threat density, and this also potentially gives us still the advantage to get the opportunity to get card advantage. Now, it won't gain card advantages consistently as Light Up the Stage because, unlike Light Up the Stage, we have to play the card immediately. We cannot wait till the following turn. But with 24 lands, or rather 16 lands and 8-12 spell lands, but since the spell lands can be played as lands off of Abbot, there's actually a good amount of the time you're going to be revealing a land or a spell land off the top. So as long as you play this on turn 3, there's a pretty good chance you're just ripping a land. That's actually this is where Abbot's at its best, is actually putting lands into play. Since over a third of the time it'll do that, that's just straight up card advantage for 2 mana. That's not really bad, and it's pretty aggressive too, with a 2/1 Prowess body. But if you wait till the third turn and you have a mana open, you can also, which also is more likely to happen with 24 lands, a very good amount of the time. We have 1, 2, 3, Well, I guess we've only got 3 1-drops, but still, if you count 24 lands plus 3 1-drops, that's 36. 36. Yeah, basically 36 cards we can reveal on turn 3, and get value out of. And if we wait just one more turn, then it's 30. Then it's 40, 48. Yeah, and 52. So then basically only 8 cards, at the 3 mana slot. Anyway, we'll see, but I've been very impressed with this in the past, needless to say. It is worth noting that the old red-black Prowess decks back that I think were actually kind of inspired by the original red-white Prowess decks that I was dabbling around with. Not that I necessarily invented red-white Prowess, but that definitely I jammed the heck out of those when Luris, pre-companion nerf Luris came out. But yeah, like they came to the conclusion, and I think rightfully so from my testing indicates as well, that that with Abbot of the Keral Keep in the mix, you don't necessarily need Light Up the Stage. This is a pretty good source of card advantage too. And those decks did actually play like Kolaghan's Command and some other 3-drop cards. So like, anyway, in my testing, sometimes this burns a Seasoned Pyromancer or a Blood Moon, and it's not so great. But like, a good amount of the time, it's generating card advantage. And even when it's not, it's a 2-1 aggressive Prowess body. Again, this is a very strong reason to play a Companionless list or a Gigantha list. I almost went with a Gigantha list, but yeah, I don't know. It's hard to get away from the Seasoned Pyromancers, and I want to try the Shatterskull Smashing, so we'll see. Something else, elephant in the room, Abrade. In the main, this is, of course, replacing Flame Slash. And, yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, I just really like having access to Artifact Destruction. It's just very good, and frankly, it is a sideboard card. This is one of these examples of me trying. I haven't actually done this yet, but I'm just going to try playing Abrade in the main. The fact of the matter is, I'm going to get to sideboard in a second, but the sideboard is just way too crowded. I got to play a sideboard card in the main. I mean, either that or I just go without artifact removal. I don't want to do that. So I think if you think of like Abrade as like sideboard cards 16 through 19, I think you realize, looking at, the 19 sideboard cards, Abrade, Brittle Effigy, Pithing Needle, Relic of Progenitus, Ratchet Bomb, I think it becomes pretty clear that Abrade is probably the most main deckable out of all of them. Unlike Relic, it doesn't conflict with, it doesn't dissynergize with Seasoned Pyromancer or Firebolt. Unlike Brittle Effigy, it's not ungodly expensive in a lot of matchups with creatures that don't necessarily justify paying for to deal with them. Unlike Pithing Needle, I mean, it will be live most of the time. And unlike Ratchet Bomb, there's no guessing game as to what the right number to leave the bomb at, or if they're even going to have targets. Plus, it can just immediately kill something. I mean, I think it's the most main deckable out of all of these. It's going to be a burn spell most of the time. Sometimes it can also randomly juke an artifact, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, if Flame Slash is a main deckable, I think Abrade is too. It's not going to be as good most of the time, but it is an instant. That's not irrelevant. I don't know. I mean, having access to main deck artifact hate is also definitely not without any merit. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. This could be Goblin Crater Maker. I've played that in the past, but see, the main reason I want Abrade in the 75 is also that it's not just for the artifact hate, which I really want access to, not just for Chalice, but also like what's it called? Platinum Empyrean. A lot of people are playing that to juke people out with the Madcap Experiment combo. There's also some people playing Thopter Foundry again. I mean, just like when the format's all over the place, there's a lot of artifacts. People jam Ensnaring Bridge. I mean, Chalice, like I said, of course, that's still in the mix. I don't know. I mean, oh yeah, of course, like also it can randomly hit a Colossus Hammer too, possibly. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if this actually does good work. But other than the artifacts, which, like I said, are necessary, it is I think necessary to have at least some artifact hate in the 75. Ideally that could actually hit something outright rather than work up to it with Ratchet Bomb. But also with like that new Changeling creature that lets you play creatures off the top of your library that you choose. I forget what it's called. And also with that Archon creature that's becoming more and more popular. Of course, Mantis Rider with humans, that's a thing to consider too. I mean, I do feel like there's a lot of 3 toughness creatures, and and of course, who can forget Storming Entity. Just a lot of 3 toughness creatures running around. It's just hard to I really feel like you kind of either need Flame Slash or Abrade. You just need something that could cleanly deal with a lot of 3 toughness creatures that are still running around. And we'll see if that's true or not, but let's get to the sideboard and start with the elephant in the room, Brittle Effigy. What is this doing here? I have heard of this before. Different people have suggested this to me on Twitter, but I'm going to finally, I mean, I have actually experimented with this a little bit. My impression is it's excellent against Death Shadow because those games go long. You will usually end up with 5 mana either outright or 1 mana and then 4 mana later. It's also, you can play it out so it's immune to discard, which is nice. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could also probably good against Jund, against Tarmogoyf, and can also sit around and deal with, for example, a Raging Ravine, if that's something that they're sandbagging. I mean, well, you can use it on their turn. It's also immune from discard when you play it out. Of course, it's not immune to Kolaghan's Command, but, you know, also, I mean, like, I don't know. I think there's a lot to like about this as a sideboard card. I mean, it deals with any pro-red creature, so it adds to, it gives us 8 total ways of dealing with pro-red creatures. This one, you don't have to work up to it, although you do have to work up to 4 mana. It deals with creatures of any size, like Tarmogoyf, Death Shadow, Platinum Empyrean, you name it. Yeah, I think it's very much a sideboard card, though, because obviously it's very bad against small creature matchups, but against creatures that, you know, that kind of need like extra power, I mean, need like a high-powered removal spell. I mean, I actually think you don't necessarily need to look to another color. I think this actually deals with a lot of the problematic cards that we need dealt with, and you know, with 24 lands, I've never felt better equipped to be able to play an effect like this. So let's see. I mean, I was thinking about playing this in the previous list that I played. Oblivion Stone in. This could be Oblivion Stone, but I just feel like that's overkill. I feel like really, if I'm playing Oblivion Stone, I think I'm basically just playing it just to be like a janky Ratchet Bomb, and we've got actual Ratchet Bomb, so I don't really feel the need to go overboard like that. It's just way more likely I'll be able to tap out and play 5 mana all at once if I draw this off the top than, for example, paying 8 with O-Stone. Plus, with O-Stone, I might blow up a bunch of my stuff. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I think this is actually surprisingly versatile, and I'm definitely looking forward to testing it out. You know, and of course, this Pithing Needle. We all know what that does. Especially with people playing, some people still try to play Goblin Charbelcher, so nice to have at least something against this. I don't know that this alone is going to help it, but then again, no more Simian Spirit Guide. Maybe that's nerfed the deck enough. I don't know. Yeah, and then there's Relic of Progenitus. You know, we all know that. Best graveyard hate, bar none. Definitely nice. Ratchet Bomb, of course, we also know this too. Deals with pro-red creatures, deals with tokens. Deals with big creatures like Death Shadow, Scourge of the Cyclist, Tarmogoyf, pro-red creatures, you name it. It's pretty nice. I've been liking it. Now, one of the only problems with this specific list is that I actually don't have anything to take out. I mean, like against Blue Moon, for example, I'm actually a little bit short of cards that are actually kind of useful in that matchup. I hope I don't run into that matchup specifically. But at least Abrade, maybe I can nab like a Snapcaster Mage at instant speed. It's not exactly like where you want to be, but it's not nothing. You know, could also play Ratchet Bomb if they're playing a Shark Typhoon. I don't know. Hopefully we won't run into that issue, but I do want to try out these specific sideboard cards, because I do think there's. Oh yeah, and another reason why. Yeah, well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like this actually covers a lot of bases. We'll see if it's good enough. All right, I guess let's try it out.